Emo, short for emotional hardcore, turning its own music and fashion-based subculture, would reach far and wide, harnessing an expression and outlet for the multitude of depression and anger that every coming-of-age teen would feel. It became a phenomenon of tight pants, guy liner, and of course, boys kissing each other on MySpace. This is the exploration of the phenomena of emo boys kissing each other. Again. Believe it or not, emo actually has a kind of vast history, especially surrounding its music, with the first band ever being credited to the genre in 1984, a band called The Rites of Spring coming out of the hardcore DC scene. But it is undeniable the absolute height of the entire subculture wouldn't blossom until the 2000s, with bands driving the force like Taking Back Sunday, Hawthorne Heights, and My Chemical Romance, creating a following of brooding, sensitive adolescents with floppy hair and tight pants using their bodies as cutting boards. I'm allowed to say that. I was an emo for a flash in the pan in 2014, as we can see here. But the OG emos of the 2000s would be the ones who truly established the subculture aesthetics and visuals, with androgynous style being on the very forefront of it. With unisex haircuts and non-strict gender roles, one of the biggest complaints and disses to say to an emo boy was saying he was a girl and he wore girl pants and he had girl hair. By choosing to ditch traditional masculine stereotypes, emo boys in theory were able to interact with each other in ways we hadn't seen in many other fairly mainstream alternative subcultures at the time. And of course, as this video insinuates, the main focus of that being them kissing each other at most times for the gratification of emo girls. But of course, there were boys doing it for the boys, and, we'll get to that later on in this video. But nowadays, seeing femboys or boys in maid costumes doing dances is totally normal internet behavior and even real-world behavior. No one would really bat an eye. But in the 2000s, there were still extremely toxic, stereotypical masculine roles for men at the time. So doing stuff like this was absolutely crazy to some. People were even scared to kiss other people of the same gender in public, but not our emo boys at all. As well as kissing, it was just super common, especially if you were in an emo friend group, to be just like weirdly physically affectionate. Like there's something about emo teenagers that just want to sit in each other's lap that like knows no bounds. In 2003, MySpace would launch online, creating the first mainstream prolific social media site on the web. On MySpace, you could join groups about your interests. An extremely popular MySpace group at the time for young teen girls was called Emo Boys Making Out. And almost all these posts were two boys claiming, which, you know what, maybe they are. They were saying they were straight, and they were posting these essentially just for the fawning after of emo girls. Weirdly of note, this was around the same time that yaoi kind of started really becoming ingrained into internet culture and into America media as a complete whole. Just a weird correlation. But if you went to just about any emo group or page on MySpace, you'd be greeted with Invader Zim, the used, and of course box-dyed haired boys smacking lips. One of the largest sites for these pictures was called Emo Bucket, which I'm assuming is, a play on words on the used to be popular site Photo Bucket, which rest in peace to all my pictures on Photo Bucket. My hair was immaculate on there, and they will never see the light of day again. It was a message board centering on the emo culture, with the internet being a much more accessible place for every teen, and the general stereotype of emo teens being alone and misunderstood. Coming into these forums to feel community was an absolute must. And this led to the ideas and pieces of culture for everyone that was involved in it. And of course, this led to, if you see two boys kissing each other and a bunch of cute emo girls are interacting with it, why would you and your homie not just go smack lips for some emo girl attention too? The absolute video outpour of this was very vast as well, especially with YouTube being on the up and up at this time. You could just type in emo boys kissing and see all of these videos. Almost all of them were self-uploads, but a lot of them were weirdly at playgrounds, but if you think about their teenagers, it's the mall or the playground, especially in the 2000s. And a lot of these videos, you'll see it's groups of friends and they're being egged on to kiss on camera. And more often than not, it's the girls of the group egging them on. And then, they smack lips and you hear the cheers of hearing two poorly pierced snake bites smacking into each other. Even to this day, especially with this minor revival of emo and scene, because it has been 20 years since the height of emo, which sounds insane. You will still find whole pages dedicated to posting screen caps or just whole uploads of videos with edits and, glitter emojis and stuff of these now 20 plus year old videos of boys kissing each other. I'd be retweeting them on Twitter sometimes when they're funny. Go follow me there. But I was shocked when I was looking up stuff for this, because I was like, are these still happening? Are people still making these playlists? Oh boy, are they still making these playlists. Like, if you search, you could scroll. And these aren't tiny playlists. People aren't making, like, best ofs. These are, like, 100+ video playlists of just emo boys smooching. Past just the whole online culture of this being a thing that got you attention, the forefront leaders of the music part of this subgenre were also boys kissing boys. Gerard Way, lead singer of My Chemical Romance, a very prolific emo band if you're not familiar with them. He was shipped with his bandmate Frank Euro. Oh, don't kill me, emos. But they had a ship called Ferrard, and of course they themselves, egged it on by smooching on stage a couple of times. And also of note, his brother Mikey Way was in a separate, not even a ship, I guess it is a ship, with Pete Wentz of Fall Out Boy, where people to this day are still adamant that Mikey Way and Pete Wentz were in a secret relationship with each other for years and wrote songs about each other back and forth constantly, and like still actively participate in the shipping and the notion of their relationship, which has no factual basis. But they are very convincing when they pop up on my TikTok. They have me convinced. I'm almost sold on it, frankly. Also, Sonny Moore from First to Last, who you probably have more frame of reference as Skrillex, was also a very vast and notorious boy kisser. And I will now tell you my one fun fact about Skrillex I will always mention when he is brought up. He's a second-generation Scientologist. Do with that information what you will. I just find it very odd. Emo boys kissing emo boys had been established as a core fundamental of the subculture by the so-called leaders of the subculture. On stage and off, there were constant poking at or even explicitly sharing intense physical affection between these musicians with each other. And I do want to touch on this whole notion of, this wasn't just straight boys kissing for girls' attentions. Of course, that was part of it and the notion surrounding it. But this, as I stated, was the 2000s where there was a lot of toxicity around homophobia and male stereotypes, and that, you need to be a certain way. So for a lot of teens, you're coming into your age, you're figuring yourself out, you're really understanding your identity, your sexuality, everything like that. This probably was one of the few safe spaces to have some sort of personal expression surrounding your sexuality if you were, a gay teen. There's not a lot of places you could. So a lot of this definitely, in my opinion, probably chalks up to the fact that, this is somewhere that it was met with, non-negativity. This was a part of the subculture. This was ingrained in it. Like, it's like a joke in it about how common this was a thing. So, if you're faced with just general hate and blasphemy surrounding your identity, you find a space where that's not the case. That is, why would you not be there? Even with it being an objectively depressing subculture, emo had community together, online and in person. So finding a way to be celebrated, or like many teens getting online attention in general, was appealing. So the sheer amount of emo boys kissing just makes sense. And if you have no clue what I'm talking about, this probably seems insane to you. And the fact that I'm even here discussing it to you, or that I've taken it seriously, is probably mental. But if you've ever looked into emo stuff, you would type in the word emo, probably to this day. I haven't done it. But if you type in emo, 5 posts down, it's emo boys kissing. Always, no matter what. Glitter gifs of being I heard emo boys kissing. This is a fundamental part of the culture, and I think that it has been lost, and we used to be a country, okay? We need emo boys kissing each other again more than ever as a whole. And we soon entered the societal era in the 2000s of bisexuality being seen as this cool, risque identity, and just queer baiting as a whole, with songs like I Kissed a Girl topping the charts, and A-listers kissing each other at award shows. We started seeing this cultural shift around heteronormality, which does still affect bisexuality, I believe, as an entire entity of being, just a fad, or no one's actually bisexual, is because there's this time in the 2000s where it was to be cool and edgy, you were I'm bisexual. Especially, it went into the 2010s too with the whole indie sleaze epidemic. It really just shifted as a whole, and it was seen as counterculture but mainstream and cool to be I'm bisexual. Which, it doesn't invalidate anybody and, their gender and sexuality, but it's still just like, we have to acknowledge that happened in 2000s, and it was kind of odd of everybody. Now, the burning question. Why would emo girls like seeing emo boys kiss each other? There's actually a few theories surrounding this, believe it or not. First, that women like to see a man and to be in a more vulnerable position, showing this non-toxic masculinity in a place of pseudo-equality. The concept that it's a sense of equality between two men, which I guess if you don't understand how a relationship or power dynamics are supposed to be, or how two people in the same gender and people of opposite gender should both be equal, whatever, regardless, it is, seeing two people on an even playing field in their head, so it makes it more vulnerable and, raw for them because they see a man in a toxic light of being, dominant and overtly powerful like a woman can't be. Another kind of toxic reason is that they can't feel jealous of the boy kissing the boy they like because it isn't a girl. So it eliminates those feelings of envy and in turn just amplifies their own want for the floppy hair boy. So once again, it is all of these reasons are so like mildly homophobic, I think. But it's the whole thing of like, oh my god, who's Jerry kissing on MySpace? Jerry's kissing Brad? Okay. Well, at least he's not kissing Jessica. God, I kind of wish I was Brad. And it leads, that's not an emo voice. I don't know why I did that voice. I picked those names and it led to that. But it's the whole thing about like, well, I'm not jealous because it's a boy and I'm a girl and I'm different. So it's very that. Now, what do I think? I think more often than not, it's like how, straight guys like lesbian porn. It's like you're seeing two hot people kiss. And that's cool. Like, you know what I mean? Especially as a teenager, your hormones are running high, dude. I remember being a teenager and it was crazy. So, like, yeah, you're just seeing two hot people mac. Everyone wants to see two hot people make out. Like, it to me, 1 + 1, mama. Like, simple math. Real quick. We figure out why emo girls want to watch emo boys kiss. Two hot people kissing. Period. Point blank. That's it. Nowadays, I don't think this would ever be like a subculture impact like it was at the times, again, because of how vastly different the 2000s were to now. Like, once again, femboys are common phenomena. Like, there are, that's just internet culture. That's just real life, frankly. And, nowadays, you still have people who, I keep saying nowadays, you still have, like, duos, famous duos who do the whole, like, will they, won't they, or, like, they pretend to kiss and stuff like that. But this does not garner the same reaction or hype or really does anything for anybody like it did in the 2000s. In the 2000s, two boys kissing, bro, that was peak entertainment for some. And, it's always lusting for what you didn't have. And it is funny to see, teens now, beg for the 2000s, which is funny because when I was, like, an emo in, like, 2014, I used to be like, oh my god, I wish I was there in 2005 to be a 2005 emo. And now you have kids yearning to be 2010s emos, which was the worst era, in my opinion. It was Brandon Urie, it wasn't Panic at the Disco, you know what I mean? But, that's a separate tangent for a separate day. This was the exploration of emo boys kissing each other. I also want to say this video is dedicated to Fox. If Fox is watching this video was for you, buddy, and I hope you actually do watch this. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching this video. Did you see this before? Is this your first time viewing it? This is not really in line with other content on my channel, but you know what? I wanted to talk about what I wanted to talk about, and the first time we did this, it got vaguely memed on Twitter, so, let's see if that happens again. Probably not, but once again, thanks for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Make sure to hit that notification bell. If you like this video, maybe you would like my video about the Paris catacombs. I don't know. Once again, this is definitely an outlier, but, thanks for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Best thing you can do for me is to share my videos. If you share my videos, I love you. I will see you next time. Bye.